Hi, welcome to Bobbins and Bows of Bear YouTube tutorial for tension explained. So I'm going to explain what tension is with regards to your knitting. So tension is all about how big your garment is, how many stitches and rows it takes to produce a certain size for whatever you're knitting. So on your ball band, so this is my Amazon Super Chunky ball band, there's a tension square just there, and that tells you how many stitches. So you need 9.5 stitches for 13 rows, and you're using 10mm needles. Okay, so as it happens, I have a scarf that I knit before, which is in the video for the simple scarf number 2. I'm going to show you how to measure your tension. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I don't bother measuring my tension, there's no point. But it is a good idea to now and again just check your tension, just to see that you are knitting with a good tension, because if you're knitting something like a garment, you want it to be the right size. Now a scarf doesn't matter, the size of the scarf is what it'll be, and as long as it fits, it's fine. But when you're knitting something that you want to fit you properly, you want to make sure your tension's correct. So you'll need some pins. You can't see them too well, pins and a tape measure. So I used 10mm needles on this, so 9.5 stitches. So if we measure 10 centimetres, or 4 inches if you wish, but I'll do it in centimetres. So you put your pin in the first stitch, so between the stitches will do, just there. That's just to mark where you're going to measure from. Let's see whether we can make it a bit closer. So there's the pin, just there. Okay, and we're going to measure 10 centimetres or 4 inches if you like. There we are. So that's just there. You put your pin in. Okay. Now you can count that if you want. So you'll count these V's. So one full V is 1 stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So mine's slightly tight. I could have done with another half a centimetre. Half a stitch, I mean. So it's 4 inches. 10 centimetres. So I'm half a stitch tighter. Now if you were knitting a garment, that I would have said that was okay. You've got to be aware that it'll come out just a little bit tighter than you will expect, than the pattern says. And now the width is also more important than the length on most patterns, because the length is usually measured, and it isn't. They don't usually tell you to do it in rows. They'll tell you to measure your piece, so knit for 11 centimetres. So that will be 11 centimetres. Whereas the width, it will be cast on so many stitches, so you want that to be correct. So half a stitch on a big garment like this is quite a bit. It's half a centimetre. Yeah, it's half a centimetre. So overall it makes quite a difference, but on a scarf obviously it doesn't. So to measure upwards your rows, you put your needle in at one stitch there and measure up your 10 centimetres from there, and then you put your other pin in. Just there. So we'd like 13 rows hopefully. So you count the V's. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's spot on that way. This way just a little bit tighter than you would expect. I mean, you could either loosen off slightly. I wouldn't use another size needle. I wouldn't go bigger, because it could make it too big. You've got to make the decision that if your tension is a lot tighter, then you'll have to go use bigger needles. If it's only a little bit tighter and it's only a tiny bit, then you can just make sure that if it's going to make it tighter, maybe do a little bit a bigger size. Or if your tension's very loose and you want to make it tighter, then use smaller needles to make it tighter. So that's how you would make sure that your garment's the right size. So if you're knitting a garment and it ends up very big, the chances are your tension isn't correct. So rather than knit a tension square, measure the tension on the garment. So if it's correct, you can carry on. If it isn't correct, then you can take it back and start again and use smaller needles or bigger needles, whichever way you need to change it. So I hope that's helpful. I know it sounds very complicated, but it's always worth checking your tension now and again. You'll probably find that your tension's just right or it's not just right, and you'll get to know what your tension's like. So you'll know to adjust your needles accordingly on most of the things that you do without checking your tension again. So I hope that was helpful and I didn't ramble on too long. If you have any questions about tension, please message me and I'll try and answer them for you. So I hope that was helpful. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.